Everybody, this is Mark back with another weekly trade recap. I lost focus this past week. I wasn't as focused as I was the first week, which led to a little bit of a drawback in my account. But it's all right. I can learn from that. I had a big loss and I had a big win. But it doesn't mean the end of the world for me just because I have a big loss and I'm down a little bit for the week. But I could definitely learn from it, and definitely not take stuff for granted when I'm on a good win streak. Continue to keep learning. But let's jump right into it. We got NYSZ here. This was going to unveil evolutionary body measurement technology at the CES convention in Las Vegas this past week. So I was in here on this second day. I had a little volume spike here, and then on this day it really kind of broke out. I was a little skeptical on the trade, so I took a quick profit. 11% win, nice one to start off the week. 10-minute chart here. I was looking for a second day run up on what seemed as hype as news. On this day, ramped up in the afternoon, and then pre-market broke over those highs and also held those highs pre-market. So in the open, it started to ramp up. Held those into the open, it started to ramp up. So I took a position here. This is a better time frame, 3-minute chart. This is what really I used and on this particular trade setup for me to pinpoint my entry. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candles that are trying to break down, and it really couldn't. It 5 times and it couldn't break. And I saw it here when this big green candle came in and this volume spike. So I saw perfect support and I saw a nice defined risk level. So I had to take the trade. I was in here at 259 and I was out quickly, like within minutes, and 288. I was wanting to take quick profits because this was a choppy stock. In recent memories, it's never really held its gains, and I was just really skeptical on this stock. This company. It's a really sketchy company. I don't trust it. It never really holds its gains, so I took a real quick profit. But it ended up, in hindsight, it kept going to 350, and it was a much better trade than I had thought. But I'm glad I took my 11% profit. See a 1 minute here. It just held its gains all pre-market, and that's what's really nice. And then ramped up, and it just broke those pre-market highs. And so when I break those pre-market highs, they could run. And I should have seen that, and I should have held it a little longer. But you know what? I'm glad with what I won. I'll move on to the next trade, which was the same day, CANN. CANN, this is a marijuana stock. It had a big red day, and it's bouncing on it. I bought it on the second green day right here. OTC, when these hot sectors run up and they're hot, they're not going to die that quick in just 1-2 days. They're going to have some kind of bounce. So what I was thinking here, I was anticipating the breakout over the multi-day highs at 1050, which was this green candle here at top. That was 1050. So I was anticipating for it to break out over it. And I wasn't necessarily anticipating for it to break out the day that I was in. So I was actually anticipating for maybe if I could hold, but I sometimes don't really have good patience. So I was in and out the same day, but it was a hell of a trade, probably one of my best trades of the year. Another 11% win, $82. Now what I find interesting is, I'm going to show you later, there's another stock that I trade, which is the next stock that I trade the next day that has a similar chart. So see here, I have a nice bounce from hot sector and one of the hottest stocks that was in the sector. This is the leader of the group. A nice multi-day breakout when it topped out here on the day that it panicked. Came up, topped out, and it kind of a little curved U-shaped breakout, and it broke out. Broke out here. I was in here at 866 and out at this nice top here at 958. It was kind of one perfect trade. That was also my risk level, which really helped out and kept me in the trade. See, I was in here at 866 thinking that this would be the dip and the only dip, but luckily I had a proper risk level. I wasn't risking this. I wasn't too far from the multi-day breakout, so I was able to use that as my risk level. And when it tried to bounce and it broke down, I wasn't tempted to sell. It bounced and then it held support here, and then it kept going and then uptrended the rest of the day. I was able to take profits nicely at 958 because I had the proper risk level. Now, when you have the proper risk level, that opens up the door to safer trades. you're not gonna lose as much money because you're gonna know when you need to exit. Instead of only planning on winning, you plan on losing, so you don't lose as much, and it just works out better. You don't want to lose like I did. I'm gonna show you one of my upcoming trades that I did this week that I didn't have a risk level, and I just lost a lot. And that's what doesn't work for me, at least. When I don't have a proper risk level. That's what's important to me. And sometimes when I get on a good streak, I think all I'm gonna do is win, so I don't think about my risk level, and I need to stay on track because that's what's getting me wins to begin with. So seeing and then the 3 minute. You see on this 3 minute it dipped, and I was in on this red candle, and it continued to dip, but it helped this 90 EMA, and it helped this multi-day breakout level continue to ride up. Now I find it funny because, like, let me show you my next trade, MSRT. This was another OTC marijuana stock that I thought was going to do the same thing, the same thing as CANN. When it had the big run up, it came down and it's bouncing now, and I thought it would break out over these multi-day highs, so I was anticipating it again. So I was in here at this top green candle on the third bounce day, and look at this. These charts look very, very similar. Let's see, and then look at that. Let's see if I can get these in the same. Yeah. See the little panic multi-day resistance and then a breakout. Panic multi-day resistance and then a breakout. But this time, this breakout failed. And I was proud of this trade because I lost, even though I lost $42, $43, it was a 6% loss. I was able to understand that, this looks like the similar chart pattern as this one, and this one I won and it broke out nicely. So this one's going to do the same thing where I win and break out nicely if it breaks out. It broke out, but this time it didn't do what I thought it could do. But I had the proper risk. This time I wasn't risking multi-day support because it was too far from my entry and I didn't want to risk a lot. So I risked this pullback. And as soon as it broke the pullback, I was in here at 955. And as soon as it broke the pullback, I was out quickly at 9. And I protected myself. I was understanding that, I'm going to protect my risk. Because just like CANN, I had a risk level, and if it would have broke below that risk level, I would have understood that this is a failed chart, and I would have got out. But this one didn't. This one worked in my favor, and I made profit. So MSRT, this one didn't work in my favor, and I didn't make profit, but I didn't lose big, and I was able to manage my loss. MSRT, came down, tried to bounce, and the sectors are starting to get weak. This is the marijuana sector, and this one on the third day it couldn't bounce. It couldn't bounce like CANN did on the second day. See again here, I was risking here, I was in here, and it just when it broke, took out this parabolics, and then it broke this risk level, and it broke hard. I was out. I was really risking 0.92, but I was understanding that this isn't a marijuana stock, so let me put my limit order a little lower. So when it broke 92, it stayed at 92 for a minute, and I was put my limit order at 0.9, and I got executed luckily because it kept going and it hit 8.5, and I was just glad to take a minimal loss on this one. I was understanding that not all chart patterns are going to work out, so let me respect my rules. But I didn't do that on KLDK. This is the worst trade of the year. So you can see, let's look, I lost $237. One of my rules that I made reviewing my trades the past quarter was there's no reason that I should have a loss that's bigger than 8%. I shouldn't have 8% loss to begin with, but it shouldn't be more than 8%. There's no reason for that. And I doubled that on this one. I lost 18%. This one was up on blockchain news. These blockchain stocks, you just put blockchain in your press release and your stock's gonna triple, it's gonna double, it's gonna fly. So I was in here on this second green day after I had this big run up. I was chasing it, I was just a little too excited. Like I wanted to get back on the winning streak, and I thought this one I could do it, and I wasn't thinking of my losses. Like I was saying, it's important to define a risk level than to have potential wins. because you can't predict how high a stock's going to go, but you could predict when a stock is going to crack. So I was in here at 12.97 once it broke these pre-market highs. And another one of my rules that I broke was be sure when you buy the high day breakout, it's going to break out. And this one I wasn't sure because this one had no risk to reward ratio. I had no room to run because it was already up from the twos from all the way up to 13 in 2 days. This stock is going to be hard for it to hold its gains, and sure enough, this over here on the next day it kind of came down, and I was down big. I was in around 13. I got out at 1070, and really, like I state here, there was no reason for this trade because one of my rules is don't trade first 10-15 minutes, and I totally broke that rule. The risk to reward ratio wasn't there. I never had no defined risk level. That's why I lost big. I never said if it breaks this point, I got to get out because there wasn't really no level for that. And that's why I lost big. What else? What should I have seen? Stock was already up huge. And when I bought the high day breakout, I should have seen that it was fake. It was a fake out when it dropped below 1250 back to 12, and I could have took $100 loss, but I didn't. It is what it is. I just gotta learn from it. No more buying these high day breakouts for me on day 2, or unless I'm for certain that they're gonna run. This is a stupid loss. I'm gonna learn from this, but it's good to have these losses to humble me, and to give me these great lessons. To scare me, to make sure that I'm confident in the next stock that I'm gonna trade. SSC. This was another stock. This was the same day I bought KLDK. This was kind of a skeptical stock that I just thought was it could run. As part of the Bitcoin sector. I wasn't too sure on the news if it was a blockchain PR, but it was in the same sector, like I said, so I treated it like it was. Not a bad trade. Only lost 4%, $20-$30. Not a bad trade at all, actually. See this multi-day breakout over $4, 1-2 times resistance and broke out, and now it's acting as support here. So I was in here when it had this nice little gap up, and with news, gap up with news is always huge, especially if it's in a hot sector. So while unlike yesterday, today it broke pre-market highs with news. So yesterday I had this pre-market jump to 475 and it got rejected and it just faded all day. Same thing happened to this morning pre-market. Broke 475, came down, but this time it broke over the pre-market highs and it had news. So I thought that was going to be enough for it to hold. So I was in here at 489, but I should have waited and saw that this big red candle was a hint to just stay away from the stock. Big red candles can hurt, are obvious signs that the stock is not strong. The stock is obviously weak if it's having big red candles. I had 1 here, 2 here, and here it just really couldn't hold the gains. But I use this double top as my risk level. 1, 2, broke out that double top, and I figured that with news it could run. If it doesn't, I'm gonna use that as my risk level. So I had very low risk, and I thought I had very decent reward. I was obviously out here when it cracked, which is why I did good there, and so I just take this loss and I move on to the next trade. RMGN. This one was very low float, 5 million, but it didn't have any news, so there was really no point in me trading it. This one was a big loss, 15%. I did have a plan. I stuck to the plan, but the plan was a horrible plan. This is why I lost big. What I saw here, what I wanted to do, the strategy that I used was to buy the first pullback. It had this support here around $2, so I used that as my risk level. I was in here at 2.3 once it took out this parabolic, and I thought this 9 would start to cross over, and I thought this high day breakout was going to happen. It just never did. It didn't have enough momentum, and it was already up huge. I was up, I think, what did I say? I was up 130% when I entered here at 230. The stock was up 130%, which means that it's up way too big for it to have another big run up on day one with no news. If this was a blockchain stock with news, maybe it could, but this didn't have news, so it didn't have a lot of support behind it. It didn't have nothing to really drive up the stock. It didn't have a strong catalyst. So when it broke this resistance, when it broke this risk level, I was out here at 2. But the thing is, I can't be risking 30 cents on some skeptical play. I can't be risking that much, and that's what I did. I just gotta not do that next time. The buy the first pullback is a strategy that's worked for me, but this worked for me when it had news, when it's not up so big. Next time I just stay away from a stock that's up so huge. Move on to the next stock. Got CNET, my big winner of the day, or of the week. This one was up from this day when it ran from $1 all the way to 12. And this was the huge winner of the week, of the year so far. This one was up on blockchain this day. I had a blockchain PR, and I was buying it this day, and I made some profits on this day, and then I bought it again on this second green day with another blockchain PR. They assigned a chief strategy officer for their blockchain development. So released another blockchain PR after already released a blockchain PR on the first big run up green day, which was this day. So they're obviously trying to hype up their stock, raise some cash. You see here resistance, and then it broke out, and then it became support, double bottoming once, twice, nice double bottom. So solid support here at $5, So when it makes that solid base and it's up and people are shorting this, it's going to squeeze, and it can squeeze nicely. Held gains briefly, so squeeze some short, especially after a blockchain PR. This had a blockchain PR that squeezed, and it squeezed from $5 all the way to $8. I was able to capture a good amount. So I wanted to break over the high day candle on this candle here, and it wasn't the best entry. It was a horrible entry, actually. Like I said, I don't want to be buying these high day breakouts. The better high day breakout was here when it broke over these pre-market highs and it had this U-shaped breakout. This was a better high day breakout, not here. But I was still in here at 635, and I did manage to have a good risk level once again because I was never faked out. And I held through this even though I was down like 40-50 cents at one point, and I got out at 695. This one I went in kind of big, only 9% win, but $170 win because I was confident on this one. And it paid off. Just next time I get a better entry, maybe get risk only 20 cents, not 50, 60 cents. Not a very good entry, like I said before. I didn't have a good risk level. But no, I actually had a good risk level. I just risked too much. But I was lucky because the PR was the reason it kept running and didn't break down. If it didn't have that PR on blockchain news, that stock probably would have failed and I would have lost big. Luckily it did, and that's why I stayed in as well. Here I just made a little triangle pattern, nice bull flag here on this 1 minute chart showing a better entry that I could have taken here around 620, had a better win. So that would have been a better entry here at 620. That's a little bull flag. Like I said, this was a good win on the day, good win on the week. It got back some of my wins from the $240 loss on KLDK. But let me show you my chart for the month. So as you can see, I had these big 1, 2, 3, 4 straight losses, and I had this big $237 loss, which added up to, let's see, around $400 in those 4 losses, and I cannot do that, But I did make some of it back 170 with $170, getting some momentum. So for the year, I'm up $127, which is I'm so proud of that still. I want to have my first profitable month ever. 6%. I just need to have a good week this upcoming week. I've been studying my ass off this past week. I need to keep it up. I need to stay humble, stay focused, and not take these wins for granted. I need to continue to work on cutting my losses because I know I'm going to have those. Every trader does. If I'm gonna be a good trader, I can't afford to have big losses, and I gotta understand that I'm gonna lose. I hope everybody has a good holiday. Happy Martin Luther King Day. It's gonna be a long weekend, so you have a lot of time to study up. Yeah, we're gonna attack Monday. Have a good day. Thank you.